Everybody, we are back. It is Tipped on Live's favorite podcast, favorite channel, favorite is everything. We are back. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Also follow us on Twitter at @TheMarkJohnNFL for me, at MHolder95 for Matt, and of course, PandaSubs.com. Discount code 25% off for all of your protein needs. I'm kind of rusty with the opening, man. I haven't done it in a while.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I'm a little rusty, man. I'm a little rusty.
1 week off, man. 1 week off, and
one week off, and I'm rusty, bro. Like it doesn't work anymore. All right, so we are back though. Here talking the NFL scouting combine and answer some of your guys' questions that you might have about what happened at the combine. Matt was live there, so Matt was live. Doing that. Yeah, we had a little bio. We got posted some of the members' videos. I cut them up and post some Cam Scatabo and some Jackson Dart.
Nice.
And then a little breakdown there. I didn't get too much pushback on the Jackson Dart video. I mean, I must have got hit the good fan base, but
I'll say Jackson Dart. I mean, both of us have spoken our minds about him and had our doubts. But between the Senior Bowl and the Combine and the throwing events, he's rising. I'm like, man, maybe he is QB3.
Yeah, man.
Maybe that's where we start. He was probably the most impressive quarterback I thought on Saturday. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Yeah. See, the thing is with the quarterbacks who's impressive. I mean, because Quinn Ewers was impressive. So that, I mean, it was tough. It was tough.
I thought Quinn Ewers was fine, but I felt like it was a little overblown. I don't know. I felt like he had a lot of completions, but there were a lot of times where like guys are waiting on the ball and like guys were like kind of having to slow up, especially on the deep ones. Like he was putting, let me put it this way, he was putting plenty of arc on it. So I don't know. I felt like it was kind of getting overblown, but he did like stand out. I mean, there was the report that apparently the Raiders are high on him. So
yeah, we'll talk about this in a second. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But so we'll just get right to it. Let's talk about the quarterback. So yeah, Jackson Dart did have another good week. He did meet with the Raiders, I believe, right? He met with the Raiders. Because the Raiders, I think the Raiders met with like all the quarterbacks, probably. I bet.
I mean, if they didn't meet with them at the combine, they either met with guys at the Senior Bowl, or they're talking to them at their pro days, or they're bringing them in for a top 30. It's the age old question of did you meet with which team? Like, yes, everybody met with everybody, because that's exactly what their job is. But I'm sure at some point all these dudes have met with them. And I think the one interesting thing that Dart said on that is he's like talked to JPJ about teaming up, because him and JPJ were high school teammates. So I thought that was kind of interesting and kind of like a little bit more unique on the have you met with this team. It's like not only has he like talked with them, and of course he's going to say, yeah, I'd love to team up with them, but he's like, has a connection to them, and like they're apparently like fairly close. Like I think JPJ even said before, like that he was like trying to get, I think Dart even said that he was trying to get JPJ to transfer to like Ole Miss or something like that back in the day. Obviously, it never happened, but they've at least talked about like teaming up in Vegas and stuff like that. So kind of interesting, but yeah, I mean, like you said, felt like he was pretty confidently the best thrower out on Saturday, without Ward and Sanders competing in it, obviously.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like when Dart got a chance to kind of showcase himself with those guys, kind of sitting out. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it makes perfect sense for Ward. I thought Sanders. I mean, I knew Sanders wasn't going to throw. I'm like, his dad is not going to let him throw. His dad's not going to let that happen. They're going to get the pro day. Same thing with Travis Hunter. Both of them didn't do their workouts. I wasn't expecting Sanders to do his workout, but of course, Dart. The thing is with Dart, and I noticed this when I actually did the membership breakdown. When we did the breakdown for a Senior Bowl, I really didn't notice this when I was breaking it down. But it's like he has these bouncy feet. Like he kind of just like hops in the pocket a lot. It's like just hopping around. So it's hard for him to even get through his progressions because he can't set his feet correctly when he's hopping, and he's just kind of bouncing around and just jumping around a little bit. So I feel better with Greg Olsen as the quarterback coach. If they drafted Jackson Dart, I just hope they, it would be like more at, is it 37? Everybody gets mad at me. Is it 37 they're picking at? So I would feel a lot better taking Dart at 37. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's it's that type of thing where like I don't want him
Yeah.
or anything. Like I've seen that on Twitter a couple times. I'm like, whoa, wait a second. Let's calm down. Like 37. Okay, I could see it at this point, and even makes sense. Where Daniel Jeremiah has him, and then the offseason that he's had, it makes sense that maybe the Raiders might take that approach with him. But it is definitely him rising a lot.
Yeah.
He is rising, and he also does have a great agent. I'm gonna say that too.
Yeah, he's definitely got some good people in his corner, that's for sure. Because even the Senior Bowl I thought was overblown until the last practice, and then and whatnot. But one thing I will say is like, and I completely agree with you on that. Like at 6, it still feels like a giant reach, but at 37, like, I mean, we're getting into the weeds. Like this QB3 battle, I swear, it's what the flavor of the month, the flavor of the week is at this point, where it's like there's so many guys that you can pick from them. I think that would make sense for me too. But yeah, 6 is definitely rich. And again, I think the good news is with Olsen, I think there's a lot of things that he kind of ironed out, like that footwork and going through the reads. I just like if he's their only option at quarterback, if they don't sign like a veteran, like they throw him into the fire, I feel like that's going to be that's a recipe for disaster. He's a guy that I feel like needs to sit, and it's kind of frustrating because it's like you are also a 5th-year senior who I think he started at USC, right? If I remember correct, maybe not the full season. But yeah, like he's been around the block for a while, and that's part of the frustration that he kind of still has those issues going through his reads and stuff like that. Someone asked him about that at the podium, though. He said he called it a quote unquote lazy narrative about him playing in Ole Miss's offense is not preparing him, and brought up that Lane Kiffin was an NFL head coach. I'm like, but if you're going to go to the Raiders, you might want to learn your history about Lane Kiffin as a NFL head coach.
Yeah, and even then, like I understand what he's saying. Like there's more pro concepts this year, but it was still like step back, throw it as far as you can.
He was still late on his reads, like very late. Like there were times where he missed windows, and I think he even knew it because he was so late.
Mm-hmm.
And like I get it. Like a lot of people want to sit there and say, "Oh, that's something you can work on." It's like, yeah, but again, going back to what I was just talking about, he's a 5th-year guy, and there is a little bit of like something that we fall in love with it in the draft process of, oh, he can work on that. Oh, he can get better at that. But there is a little bit of like, yeah, but I'd like to see you show it to me at least, a few times. I mean, I guess you have shown a few clips where he's like thrown with anticipation, but like more often than not, he's late. And again, it's like, I feel more confident seeing that from a guy than sitting there trying to project it and trying to hope that he kind of gets through it. But yeah, at 37, 2nd round pick, take your chances, see what happens. But
yeah, of course. I mean, there's a buzz around Shadeur Sanders right now. The NFL does not like Shadeur Sanders. I saw that. A lot of people are mad at the tweet I made, but it's just funny to me that I don't know what they expected. I mean, the dude literally flashes his watch when he scores a touchdown. Like I don't know, like what were you expecting when he came in the room? Like you were expecting like this, like him to be Cam Ward. He's not Cam Ward. He's Shadeur Sanders. Like I literally said, he scores a touchdown. He flashes his watch and he just flashes it. Like that's his dance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he carries himself like a wide receiver. So, but I still think the Raiders would like him. So I still think he's an option at 6'2", even if he didn't throw. And I think his confidence can rub people the wrong way just because the way he carries himself it is very diva-ish, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not something that Raiders fans will embrace. A lot of Raiders fans will like that, to be honest. And then also, Tom Brady likes him, which I say all the time. But
yeah,
I still think he's an option at 6'2", so we'll see how that goes as well.
Yeah, and I'll say on that, look, I'm not an insider. I'm not going to pretend like I have sources and I have a ton of scoops. But I did hear from 2 different people similar things to what McShay was saying about the interviews not going so great for Shadeur for a lot of the reasons where you said, where it's like he does come across as like very arrogant, very cocky. And I mean, like when he was at the podium too, like you could kind of tell that it's like, and I mean, to his credit, he'll own it. He'll kind of like I think he even said at one point, "Do you know who my dad is?" And it's like, well, yeah, I get it. So he recognizes it. So, but there is like a little bit of a I'm Shadeur Sanders, type of deal. If you catch where he's very confident in himself. And at the same time, like I don't like I'd struggle with that because there is a little bit of overconfidence for him, like the whole stuff. He is flashy. Again, he's Deion Sanders' son. We gotta remember that.
Very flashy.
But at the same time, like I don't want I want my quarterback to be confident. You know what I mean? Like Cam Ward is confident too. He's just not flashy.
Yeah,
like Shadeur is. I mean, we've seen videos of Cam and Shadeur like going back and forth at each other when they're working out. And usually, from what I can see, obviously, who knows how it's clipped on social media, but usually it's Cam Ward starting it, and starting talking the trash. So I think both guys are just confident. Just one's a little bit more flamboyant and in your face about it. Again, knowing who his role model was, which, hey, worked out for Deion. He had a hell of a career.
Yeah, and I think with Sanders too, I would say the only thing that would worry me about Shadeur Sanders is that he's kind of sensitive to criticism. Cam Newton points that out a lot, that he doesn't like taking criticism from people. Like he even had some clip about when he was walking into the combine about somebody saying something to him. Like, oh, you better not be one of those fans talking about me. You know what I'm saying? And he definitely could not handle Raiders fans if he could do that. He definitely could not handle them. He would.
He name searches. Let's put it that way. He goes on Twitter and puts his name and sees what people are saying about him. He's got KD in a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, and that would be my worry with him, because he definitely could not handle. Like I said, he could not handle Raiders fans. I think that's why Aiden O'Connell, he had that good type of demeanor for it, because Raiders fans were just throwing all that stuff at him. Derek Carr couldn't really handle it. That's like a lot of his issues was like he couldn't handle the Raiders fans just attacking him constantly. Yeah, you know what I mean? But because Raiders fans can't be vicious like that, man.
Yeah,
they can't be vicious at you and like, great 3-0, you suck. You know what I mean? Like he would be replying. You know what I mean? Like it'd be one of those things.
Online too much. I mean, he's already done that. He did that a little bit at Colorado, like over the summer. I don't know if you remember that, where it's like that dude who was like who had like talked to I think it was like The Athletic or whatever, and had the quote unquote hit piece out on Deion. It's like, I don't even remember you or whatever. Like there's certain things where I'm like, I just wish you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Where it's like like him like calling out his offensive line, even in that one video, I think I sent it to you, of him of Cam talking shit to him or whatever, and he's like, goes, dude, you had a running game. I'm like, brother, one, that's a terrible comeback, and two, I mean, who are we blaming there? That's the stuff where it's just like, man, I just wish you wouldn't do that, because what I have heard too on the positive side from what the chatter is, Shadeur, when he's like one-on-one, is like a very like kind and like respectful dude. Like from what I've heard from someone who was at working with him at the Shrine Bowl, like they're like, yeah, Shadeur, no issues with him, good kid, everything when it's one-on-one, but part of it is the crew.
Yeah,
and everything comes out with it.
The show. He likes to put on a show. Yeah. It's I mean, he grew up on reality TV, bro. Like this is like it's not something new for him to be in the lights, and I think that he embraces it. But I do. I always thought the NFL would be a little weird with him. You know what I mean? But it's just so weird that I don't know what they expected. I feel like you should be doing your homework before these things happen, and you should know how he is and like how he's going to handle it, especially if like as a team that him and his dad don't want to go to, and he's walking in the room. I'm sure that.
Yeah, I'll put it this way: for Shadeur's sake, I think he'd be better off with the Raiders than in a market like New York, because New York media would eat him alive, and it like you said, like that. I think would probably be one of the worst things for him, just because of how ruthless they can be and how much attention that would be on him.
All right, a couple other quarterbacks that the Raiders were connected to. I'll get your guys' questions after we talk about these quarterbacks, and we'll get some other positions here. Quinn Ewers is connected to the Raiders, which I had to go back to watch more film. I was like, maybe I'm missing something, but I don't see it. I don't know about you, Matt. I just don't see it. But
my thing with Quinn Ewers is when I watched him 2 years ago, right when he was like after that sophomore year at Texas, when it was like, oh, Quinn Ewers, I guess it would have been ahead of last year's draft.
Yeah,
it's like Quinn Ewers might be QB1, like you might be like someone to like dive into. Like I remember watching the dude who like was playing Alabama as a sophomore. What was it, like his second start, and then taking throws in the chops and throwing 40-yard bombs down the field. And I remember watching that being like, okay, like I like this dude. Like this dude's got a future. And then for whatever reason, in these last like 2 years, he's tried to become like this touch, like finesse thrower, because part of the issue with him in that sophomore season was like he wasn't accurate, like he didn't have touch on the ball and all that stuff. And then it seems like he's tried to overcorrect where he like floats balls now. And I'm like, dude, where was that gunslinger that was just firing balls all over Alabama's defense that had all pros on it? Like, and I don't know what happened. And the only thing I can really put my foot on is, or put my finger on, is that's when he shaved the mullet. It's like Samson, man. Like he shaved them, he got rid of the hair, and he lost all his power. And like that's part of it with me. Like I do think he's grown like mental processing wise and like ball play wise, accuracy and all that stuff. Like I thought that part of his game's gotten better. I don't think it's perfect by any means, but like he's got to find a way to merge the two Quinn Ewers of the guy that was like just slinging it around the yard and throwing the ball around. Basically, sometimes it's too hard and almost as hard as he can, and find that balance between like the touch passer, because there were so many throws like going back to 2 years ago or 2023 when he was playing in the playoffs, and it's like I think was it Washington or whatever, where he like was just floating balls like toward the floating fade balls to the end zone that were getting picked and stuff like that. Like that's become like a part of his game now. Like that's part of his weaknesses. Whereas like, again, that sophomore year at Texas, like he was slinging it around and throwing rockets. And then all of a sudden just kind of changed. It felt like he overcorrected. So I guess if you're the Raiders, what they're hoping for is they can get him to find that middle point and be a little bit better and more consistent and kind of merge those two players. But yeah, right now it's not like the most exciting tape. Like I saw why people at Texas were pounding the table for Arch to get some more reps at the end of the season.
Yeah, I agree. I just didn't see it. The Georgia game is absolutely terrible. If you want to like Quinn Ewers, do not watch Georgia.
Stay away from Georgia. Which one?
Georgia, the first one.
First one?
Do not watch that game. Yeah, that's my problem. That was the first game I watched, and I was like, "Oh my god, this guy! Can you draft this guy?" So that's you know what I mean. Like it's
It is funny how like
go ahead.
I was just gonna say it is funny how like when like whatever game you watch first can skew your vision on a guy. It's like, man, this is the guy that I think. Like sometimes it's the order of the games you watch. But I mean, yeah, like you were gonna say the Michigan game.
Yeah, the Michigan game is a whole lot better. You know what I mean? It has some really great plays in that one. And you feel a lot. You feel different about him. But it is funny because I did the same thing with Travis Hunter. I started with the Kansas game, and it was like, what is this the hype? What is happening? I had to even like Derek from the Steelers covers the Steelers. I had to hit him up on Twitter. I'm like, bro, like, what do you think about Travis Hunter? And then I watched the Baylor game. I was like, oh, there it is. Never mind.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
Never mind. I take it back. This is funny how that works. So Tyler's show in person, is he a riser? I saw somebody else also said you guys need to break down Tyler's show. We already did. There's an episode. You just gotta go back, man. Go through the.
Come on, Craig.
Come on, Craig. It's just like 3 episodes down. You go to the channel, go 3 episodes down. You gotta break down a Tyler Shough. I say Shough.
That's why you got to subscribe and turn the notifications on. You don't want to miss an episode, man. This is must see YouTube TV.
Exactly. So what about Tyler Shough? I thought he was okay out there.
See, I thought Tyler Shough, like at the beginning of his workout, I thought he was going to give Jackson Dart a run for his money as the best quarterback out there. Like he was slinging it a little bit, and then he tried to get cute where he did that thing where he like stepped up, tried to like fake pressure and step up in the pocket, and he ended up skipping the pass. I'm like, bro, why'd you do that? And then he kind of picked it up again towards the middle where I thought he looked pretty good. And then at the end, he just started fizzling out. Like, I don't know what it was, but he was trying to throw those sail routes, and I think I charted him hitting 1 of 4 of them. Like, oh, well, that kind of just ruined it. But I think you saw the arm talent in his workout, especially in the beginning. Again, I don't know why I kind of know why, because he wanted to stand out, and it ended up backfiring on him. But yeah, he just didn't. He had that throw that pissed me off more than anything. It was not. I mean, I applaud him, I guess, for trying to be a little bit different, but he had that one that ended up going up bad for himself, and then he just fell apart in the end, just kind of like to string it all together. It wasn't as consistent. But I thought to start the workout, I liked him. I liked what I saw from him a lot.
Yeah, I did too. And then I saw a couple questions about Jaylen Milroe. Do you think Milroe could end up in the Raiders conversation?
I love Jaylen Milroe. I love his tape. But Jaylen Milroe, I'll put it this way. and I put this in my article on Silver Pride. I've never seen someone make a throw look so easy, and then literally the next throw make it look so damn difficult. He's in the Anthony Richardson category of dude will go like 9 for 20 or 10 for 20, and there'll be 10 highlights. It'll be 20 highlights, 10 highlights for your team, and highlights for the other team. His accuracy has become such an issue. It was an issue at the Senior Bowl, and again, when I kept noticing at the combine workout, put one right on the money. Next throw sailed over the receiver's heads, and I think part of it has to do with his footwork. I don't know if it's mechanics. I don't know the mechanics well enough as a whole, but it was like legitimately like one after the other where he just could not control that arm. And then I think part of it is he gets in his own head when he starts doing that too, in some of these events, and he starts aiming throws, and it gets even worse. But yeah, Jaylen Milroe has just been through the Senior Bowl and the combine, to me, it's just been very disappointing. Like, I loved watching him on tape and loved what I saw, but I just feel like he's pressing a little bit too much. I don't know. Don't know exactly what it is. And also, I don't know why or who was advising him. Why he didn't run the 40 baffles me. Like, dude, you are fast. Like, you could have had an Anthony Richardson like combine, maybe built some more confidence a little bit, like going up into the throwing drills. If you went out there and ran a 4.3, which I think he might be able to do, but I'm like, and he didn't. I'm like, dude, this is your event to dominate. Go out there and do all those drills and show him how good of an athlete you are, especially after the Senior Bowl you had. And he just sat him out, and then he goes out in the throwing drills. And again, I was just getting frustrated with him because, again, it was so many throws of like, this looks good, this looks bad, this looks good, this looks bad, and just going so back and forth where I'm like, the consistency just isn't there for you right now. And he's just kind of sliding in my book in the last couple months.
Yeah, so I was gonna say the Raiders met with him and I guess really liked him on the board.
Okay,
so that's what the Athletic said. So
that's good.
I mean, if Chip Kelly if they decide to go that route, then I think Chip Kelly would make it work, and I feel like that he might be better in games than like trying to show off his talent. At least that's what you hope for.
Yeah. But
maybe
when he has his legs as a weapon and like he has that confidence about him, maybe that helps him out. But yeah, it's been weird the last like 2 months. I went into like these last 2 months being like, I'm gonna really like Jaylen Milroe. He's gonna be my QB3, and I like the project and the idea behind him, and it's just disappointed me in these last two events.
All right, so I see a couple of questions about Howard. Did Milroe look better than Howard? I saw another one in here about Howard. Any chance Howard tanked the combine? What do you think?
I'm curious for your thoughts on Howard, because I know you watched.
I thought Howard was just like there. I didn't think he sucked or anything. I think it was more the fans were booing him, so it brought more attention to him. But I just thought he was there. You know what I mean? Like, go ahead.
No, go finish what you're saying.
I just thought that he didn't stand out, but I didn't think he's as terrible as people say he was.
Okay. I thought I was going crazy because like in full disclosure, I had to leave Saturday, so I didn't get a chance to watch the quarterbacks in person. So I saw everyone like overreacting on Twitter, like saying that Howard had sucked and like posting all the clips of him missing throws. And then I went back and watched it. I'm like, what am I missing? And I saw like other people on talking about it too. And like Ted Wynn was one of the guys who had pointed it out too. And like I checked like our Bleacher Report guy with Dame on him too. And like he said the same thing. Like it's like, I mean, Howard missed throws. He wasn't impressive. I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh no, he was actually good. But I didn't think it was that bad. Like I thought he was just kind of out like you said, out there and okay. It just wasn't anything impressive. He didn't do anything to help himself. Whereas guys like Dart, guys like Shough, guys like Ewers might have like actually helped improve their stock. But he was just, to me, he just kind of had like a neutral, like okay performance, and this outrage about him and this like discourse about him was just, to me, way overblown. Because I mean, I don't know, maybe they're picking on him because he's kind of like the guy that's been gaining steam lately, and obviously came out the national championships. People want to tear him down a little bit, but yeah, I did not think he was that bad. I mean, again, did miss some throws and whatnot here and there, but for the most part, I thought he was fine. Just wasn't anything special.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some other positions here. Talking about the quarterbacks, but it's about. Were you lucky enough to see the Schultz Rappaport scuffle?
I was not at the Starbucks, unfortunately. I wish I would have, because from what I've seen and what I've heard, it was hilarious. But I wish I was there. I did not get to see it.
Oh man, yeah.
I avoided Starbucks after that, though. I didn't want to piss off that. I also didn't realize that Schultz's dad was the CEO of Starbucks. So I just find it funny.
Wait, that's who his dad is? Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's a silver spoon baby and whatnot. But yeah, so that made it even funnier to me, because just the fact that it happened there, and he's just like, not in Daddy's coffee shop.
You can't come in Dad's coffee shop.
You don't get to disrespect me. You don't get to disrespect me and then get your macchiato Rappaport.
I'm sorry. That makes it even funnier. That's his dad. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. It's even better.
All right. I'll just cover these questions until we get to another position. Can Olsen fix Dart's late throws? I don't know if can you fix that? I don't know.
Again, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say again, like we can sit here and say that, but it's impossible to know.
Okay. Shadeur never played a head coach. Could he handle? I think so. I think he just puts on a show. I think there's a lot of a show with him. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think he can like take it from like a head coach and whatnot. I mean Dion, from what the sounds of it, is hard on him. I mean, Dion ranks his kids every week. Dion's got a AP top 25 on his kids, or AP top 5 on his kids every week. So I think Dion is hard on him, and I think he can take it. I just, like you said, I think a little bit of is the attention aspect. He knows when he does all that stuff, people will talk about it. But yeah, I think he can be. Again, one-on-one, he seems to be very much a very different person.
All right, let's get to defense. So we got defensive ends. I don't know where the Raiders are going to go with that. If they go that route, I know James Pierce everybody's like really low on James Pierce after this week. Somebody said he might go 3rd round. I was like, oh wow.
Oh, because of that character concerns.
Or something. I don't know.
It wasn't because of his workout, because his workout was arguably one of the best. I mean, he was the only edge to run under 4.5. And I mean, he looked really damn good on the field. He kind of reminded everybody why he was getting some hype as potential number 1 overall pick this summer. Like with his workout, like he looked really good in the position drills. Again, ran sub 4.5, had a good 10-yard split too. But what the rumor is that at Tennessee, like they were kind of happy he declared early, and the part of the reason why he was on a limited snap count because he kept pissing the coaches off. So yeah, with James Pierce, it seems to be more that there are off the field concerns, and how much that is, and how much the NFL plays into that, and if all 32 teams are on the same page on that is up for debate. But that seems to be more the issue is less what he did at the combine and more how did he interview, which I don't know anything about that, but how did he explain himself, and especially if he's not getting the endorsement from his own coaching staff. That's obviously a little bit of a red flag.
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna say we're getting to your question. You guys are throwing so many questions at us. I'm gonna have to get to your questions. We're just gonna go through all your questions at the end. We'll just talk football, and then we'll go through these questions. There's just so many of them. All right. So defensive tackle, like who else do you thought stood out from the workout? I know some people were asking about Mason Graham only coming in at 296 pounds. It's interesting. What were some of your thoughts on the defensive tackles?
So with Mason Graham, to address that, what happens, especially with defensive tackles at the combine and guys like Graham, they slim down for these events. Now, Graham ended up not participating, but apparently he had a heel bruise that kept them out. But usually they slim down to like look a little bit leaner and stuff like that when they interview with guys. What I saw, I think today, was when Graham first got to Michigan, he was 320, and he was a little too chubby. And then he ended up playing at around 315 and then dropped a ton of weight to go to the combine. I mean, even a guy like Shamar Stewart, we saw that with him. He weighed in at the Senior Bowl at like 280 and then was 264 at the at the combine. I mean, he lost 15 pounds. That's unheard of. But you also got to remember, these dudes are freaky. These dudes are not your normal human and whatnot, and they can where their weight can fluctuate like that. So I'm not terribly concerned about Graham's weight. I mean, we watched the film, we did the breakdown. Was there ever a point where you sat there and said, that guy's too light, that guy can't hold up in the trenches? So I think part of it was he was trying to slim down to kind of ease maybe some of the body type concerns that scouts might have. And then again, I think he was planning on participating, but it sounds like he got a little banged up in training before that and didn't end up doing it because he did bench and did fine in that. But he had 32-inch arms, which is short, but
yeah,
not as bad as I was thinking. Still longer than like a guy like Braden Fisk, who had really short arms last year. So
okay. Anybody else still out for the defense tackle position? I didn't get to watch that too much, so I didn't get to.
I know Derek Harmon.
Go ahead.
I was just say Derek Harmon from Oregon. I mean, might have had one of the better workouts of the defense, or probably had the best workout of the defensive tackles. Came in at I think about 315, maybe a little bit lighter, a couple pounds off that, and we had sub 4.5, or excuse me, we ran sub 5 flat. Ran I think 4.95 in the 40, which is a pretty good time. Had a good 10-yard split. All of the position drills, I thought he looked really good in. I think ended up having one of the better like athletic testing scores or whatever that. From the defensive tackles. And I mean, to me, he cemented himself as a first-round pick. So as far as the Raiders go, I mean, obviously you're not taking him at 6. Might have put him out of reach. But he's a guy that I've loved on film. He's been my TT3 for a while now, and he boosted it. He might have even gone up a little bit higher in my book. So I thought he looked really good. One guy who didn't really test, or what the tests he did do weren't very impressive, which was Alfred Collins. He had like a 27-inch vertical, but he looked really smooth and really good for in the like untimed stuff and the position drills he really stood out to me in that regard. And he did it at 330 pounds, which was eye-opening and happy, like good for me to see, because he was a guy I kind of want to see go in the opposite direction. I think he was weighed in, or I think he was listed at 320, I want to say, on Texas's roster. So, but I view him as more of a nose tackle, so he can fill that John Jenkins role. And I think he's very comparable to Jenkins in size, where he's about 6'5" and 330 something right now, or at least that's what he weighed in at the combine, and had like nearly 35-inch arms. And again, looked pretty nimble on his feet, even at that size. So I was really impressed with him. He's a guy that, if we're talking about 37, maybe if he ends up lasting to the third round, I don't know if he'll be there. He's definitely an option. I mean, I love his game, and I mean, I'm sure between now and the draft, I'll do a breakdown on him because he's one of my guys. So those were the 2 D tackles that I thought really stood out and really kind of caught my eye on there. And unfortunately, one of them probably not going to be within the range for the Raiders at this page. But Alfred Collins at 37, if they either get quarterback, if they get a quarterback with 6 or do one in free agency, I would be very excited if the Raiders ended up drafting him, because he fits exactly what they need on that defensive line, which is that gap filling nose tackle who can occasionally contribute as a pass rusher. So yeah.
Lance Zierlein has Walter Nolan over Mason Graham by a lot.
Really? Yeah, interesting.
By like 20 points.
What's funny is they like checked in at the combine almost identical size, like arm length and everything.
Yeah.
Well, I think Nolan was also like 290 something, and I was like, damn, I did not see that one coming.
Yeah, Nolan was 296. Yes, 32 and a half arms. Yeah, so it's about the same. He didn't run though or anything. Right?
No, he didn't do anything. Yeah.
Okay. I pulled it up. I was just pulling up the guys. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's interesting. All right, linebacker. I know Jalen Walker, but Jalen Walker. Did Jalen Walker run?
I don't think he did anything. I don't think he tested. The linebacker that I think, or one of the linebackers. Let me look this up, make sure. One of the line guys that kind of stood out to me was Carson Schwessinger. He weighed in at 240, and he was like 225 at UCLA. He was a guy that like needed to gain weight, so that was good to see. And then he still jumped 39, and I got it right here, 39 and a half inch vert at 240. So pretty damn good, and he looked pretty good in the drills. Jahad Campbell was the big winner though, and he's kind of linebacker 1. Another guy though that probably played his way in that weird range where, again, still a reach at 6, but he's definitely going to be top 15, top 20 player. I don't think he's getting past there. Ran a 4.52, which some people thought was slow for him, just a little bit under that. And I mean, I think he was like the 3rd fastest linebacker. So yeah, he had a pretty good day. The other guy that stood out and that I think's kind of gotten forgotten about in this class because of the way Oklahoma ended the season and how the whole year went, Danny Stutzman. What do you weigh in at? What's he weighed in at 233, so a little bit lighter than he was listed at 240 at Oklahoma, but 233 and ran literally the same 40 as Campbell, a 4.52. And he's viewed as more of like that downhill thumper. I think he's better in coverage than a lot of people realize. So he's another guy that impressed me. I think if he's available in like say the third round, there's your Robert Spillane replacement. And again, a little bit more athletic upside than maybe than a Spillane gives you to help out in coverage. So yeah, I was really happy to see him. He's a guy that I've been pretty high on. I saw Dane Brugler's got him in the top 100 of his pre-combine draft board. I don't know where he's at now, obviously, but he's a guy that I think a lot of people have kind of forgotten about that could end up being a good backer for him. But this linebacker class, I feel like it's kind of slept on a little bit, where there's not necessarily besides Campbell, like a huge, like big name talent. I guess you could put Walker in there if you consider Walker a true off-ball linebacker and not the Kyle Van Noy, Zach Bond type of the hybrid. But those two guys are kind of the big names. But there's a lot of like a good cluster of guys in like that second to third round range that you get, including Schlesinger, a Stutzman, Jeff Bossa, who had, I thought, a solid workout. It wasn't anything really impressive, but yeah, there's a good amount of good linebackers in this year's class. So especially in that second or third round range, more than what we've seen in the years past. So
Zerline has Demetrius Knight over Jihad Campbell. Somebody put that in the chat too.
Ooh, interesting. He's another guy I thought looked good too. He can move a little bit, and he's like 240. So another guy that could be a Robert Spillane replacement.
All right, one more defense. I guess we talk cornerbacks and safeties. I mean, do the Raiders draft a safety? I know that they'll draft a corner, but do you think they'll draft a safety?
Well, if they don't resign Trevon Merrick, they're going to have to. You put Chris back there,
sure.
Trey Taylor.
Yeah, you got a point. But that's what I'm saying. It changes the whole draft if they don't do that. That's why it's important to get those guys back. Because I mean, yeah, the safety class is crazy. I mean, I know Nick.
Eman Wari.
I
wasn't even gonna let you try and say that one.
I was gonna try, but he stole the show. I haven't watched any of the safeties. I just started watching the corners. But
yeah,
I don't know how his tape looks. I know Todd McShay was talking him up, and they said that he could tackle. They said his biggest problem is that he can't tackle, which is like your safety. That's a huge problem. But like he can cover, he can run. I mean, yeah, he can miss tackle sometimes, but like, whoa, like your safety though. That's important. I mean, I need you to tackle the guy before he scores a touchdown. But I know he stood out a lot, but like cornerback position is something that we feel like the Raiders are going to target regardless if they sign. Jahdae Barron, I think he ran a 4.39. He had a good week. Azare Thomas didn't run. Will Johnson didn't run. Maxwell Harrison, of course, stole the show.
Yeah, he had,
which I think he has some pretty good tape too. Anybody else? I don't know if you watched any of the cornerback workouts. Anybody else stand out to you? And then we'll kind of get like Will Johnson and stuff like that.
Darian Porter is good. Like Pete Carroll's gonna love that dude. Almost 6'3", 33 and an 1/8 inch arms. Ran a 4.3 flat. That'll work. Yeah. We can work with that. So yeah, that I think like if you told Pete Carroll like what's your ideal corner, he'd say it's that. And I think he's a guy that I haven't done too much film study on, but yeah, he's definitely a guy that will probably break down at some point because again, he fits Pete Carroll's profile of those tall corners who can fly. Mm-hmm. He was probably the next one that I thought stole the show at the workout and whatnot. So he's definitely due to keep tabs on. Azare Thomas, you mentioned too. He didn't test though. He's kind of the same build of like those tall dudes who have those long arms, but obviously would have liked to see him run the 40. But Darian Porter was definitely one of my biggest winners from the combine. You mentioned Harrison too. He just doesn't fit the Pete Carroll profile. He's a smaller guy, so he kind of it was kind of less freakish, if you will. The fact that like he had a good combine, whereas Porter, dude's tall and can run, which we'll take that at corner. The one guy, he didn't have great numbers. Like, it was just more average, ran like a 4.5 40, for example, which isn't a terrible time, but isn't a great time.
Yeah.
Noel Williams out of Cal. He in the position-specific drills, he looked really good, really smooth, and looked like good, nice oily hips, good change of direction and stuff like that. So obviously didn't have the eye-popping numbers that, is getting talked about at an event like this, but the actual position drills, like, he looked good. If you remember Noel, he had I think it was week 2 when Cal played Auburn. He had 3 picks in that game that basically for him. Had 4 more for the rest of the year to have 7 interceptions, led the country in interceptions this year. A lot of people thought he should have won the Jim Thorpe Award over Jahdae Barron. Barron just had the better team season and whatnot, and did it on a bigger stage. But 14 picks in his 5-year career at Cal, or excuse me, he didn't start at Cal, but 14 picks in his 5-year career for Noel Williams. So definitely a guy that caught my eye is like kind of that day 3 range, probably more like it, probably more like a 4th or a 5th round guy, unless there's a team who saw what I saw in the position drills that it really likes him. But good ball skills, and you can move a little bit. You can flip your hips and whatnot. Not again, another guy we can work with in that range.
Yeah. That's another guy there too. It is interesting with the length thing, because I went back and looked. I just looked at some corners. Pete Carroll stuck to the length thing until like a year ago, and then like his last year, he started taking some guys that were like under 31 inches. So I wonder if that's going to factor in to this year, because like Will Johnson, I thought he would have longer arms. He came in at 30 inches and 1/8.
Damn, that's not
right.
Great.
And then Barron, who is getting a lot of buzz, he's 29.
Yeah, he's sub 30. Yeah. That's why that was like a lot of people think size in general. There's a lot of white people think Barron might be a slot only guy.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense looking at his arms. And when you watch him on film, he's all over the field, right? So it makes sense to me where he could play slot. That's why you probably wouldn't take him at 6, because he wanted to play slot there. But he's a good corner though. He could play. Right? He has some good film. Like I said, he's all over the field. He plays safety too. He's lining up a safety. There's one time I saw him line up a middle linebacker. Like, he's all over the field.
Okay.
So like, what I mean? Like, they used him like a Swiss Army knife, and that might be something that might intrigue Pete Carroll too. Is that you can put him wherever. You could blitz him from the slot. You could play him outside on some downs. Like, I'm saying, you can move him all over the field. With Patrick Graham being there too, he could be like the Julian Love type of guy, right? So, that's the thing. Yeah. So
I think to what you're saying too, and what you're alluding to earlier, like that's what Devin Witherspoon was, right? And they took these Seahawks took him at 5, right? Where he could play outside, could play inside, and ends up like, I think now he's playing more inside and playing more like covering the slot more for Seattle than he is playing on the outside. And he was number 5 overall pick. I did read that Barron's not making it out of the first round. Teams love him, so he's another guy that could be caught in that weird, that awkward spot where he's probably more like a 10 to 20. 10 to 25 type of pick versus like someone who could slip through the cracks, because again, I don't know if the Jim Thorpe Award winner is who had a good combine and has great production is going to fall out of the first round.
Okay, so let's get back to offense to get these questions. So tackles, I mean, I know Armand Mimbo, if I'm saying that right. He stole the show, right? I mean, he's the guy that left that 491 at how much does he weigh? He's
332
at 332 is pretty impressive. So, and the thing is with tackles, when they're athletic like that and they actually have good film, like it's a hit most of the time. Like, you don't miss on athletic tackles that have fast 40 times, that have good film. Like, you usually don't miss on those guys. I mean, like Lane Johnson's, those type of guys, Trent Williams, those guys who are great film, athletic as hell, and like it's pretty much a sure thing. So I mean, because we covered Will Campbell on the episode of TDL Show, so I mean, is he an option at 6 or like?
I mean, I think he is. The one thing I will say about Will Campbell is, and he kind of talked about this at the podium, he does not look like a franchise left tackle. Like his, like, not only does he have his short arms, but he has a short wingspan, which means his shoulders aren't that broad. And like, that's kind of like the frightening thing of like, this guy's tape is good and I like it, but there is a little bit of like, but do you trust that he's an outlier enough? Again, I mean, we watched it. There's very few flaws in his game. Like, I like him as a player, and I think if they took him at 6, I'd be excited. But there would be a little bit of hesitation where of like, man, they really are taking on a chance on this guy being an outlier. But again, like I talked about in that episode, if you draft Will Campbell at 6, yes, ideally he's your franchise left tackle. He's your future replacement for Colton Miller. But if you get a good guard, you're not going to be in, 5-10 years from now, we're not going to be looking back and hating on that pick. Like, and that's where I think like you like a guy like Will Campbell, and why I think he might be worth the pick at 6 is like his floor, I feel pretty confident, is at least being a good guard in the NFL. And, it's just a matter of, can he be one of those outliers? Can he be that guy that overcomes the physical limitations that he has? But he tested well. I mean, for the most part, ran sub 540, 32-inch vertical and whatnot. So 9.5 in the broad. I think that was one of the better ones, but obviously behind Membu, who just kind of stole the show. But yeah, he had a pretty good workout and showed how athletic he is, and that shows up on tape too. So he's another guy where had decent athleticism, has good tape. It's just, do you trust the measurements and that he's going to be able to overcome that at the next level when he's going up against other elite athletes?
Yeah. But running backs, was a big show too. So running backs, I mean, there's a whole bunch of guys had a good week. Like I gotta go watch Baisul Tutin's film.
Baisul Tutin?
By Shough Tutin. I gotta go watch his film because he ran a 4.32 and he just had a great week. Giddens surprised me a lot. I was like, I did not know you're that fast. And then people got mad at me on Twitter because I was like, I thought Caleb Johnson would be faster, but I guess he is supposed to be that fast. I guess I just don't know what I'm looking at. I guess I don't know, but
I'll say this: he's thick. Like he's thicker than you realize. When I saw him at the podium, I'm like, damn. Like I was just like that's one of the nice things about going to the combine is you get to see like how big these dudes are. Like what I was talking about with Campbell, where it was the opposite. Where I'm like, man, you're not that big. I mean, you're a big human, but compared to other massive humans, you're on the small big human, small big human, if you will. But where I was going with that was Caleb Johnson. Like he's thick. Like he's got like forearms that are like friggin' biceps. Like I'm curious. I'm like, I wonder if you ever fumbled in college because you got some big ass arms, and he was wearing the cutoff. Show him off like I would too if I had arms like that. But yeah, he was thick, so I wasn't totally surprised. Did he run 4.6 or 4.5?
4.57 was the official time.
4.57. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. But
yeah, he has long strides, so I could see it. But yeah, I thought I think that would hurt. People act like, well, you should have known that, but I still think when you go look at like Tutin, I mean, Jadon Blue is somebody I really like on film. I think he's really slept on in this draft. I think because he could catch, he can run routes, he could block, and he ran a 4.38. He's fast. I think he's really slept on in this draft. Guys like that. I mean, even Giddens, because Giddens probably is one of the most elusive running backs that I've seen on film. It's like, but it was weird. I didn't see that true long speed on film. So to watch him run a 4.43 was super interesting to me. But I think Giddens, the way he makes people miss is pretty special. So I think he could be a really effective back in the NFL. I know Henderson stole the show. I think Henderson's probably going to go first round now. I think because Henderson. Yeah, because not that I say he's going to go first round, but he's going to be like one of those guys that the Raiders don't take him at 37. You're not getting him. Him and Judkins, right? Yeah,
they both. I mean, they had like identical. One ran a 4.43, the other ran a 4.48. One had they both had 38.5-inch verticals. They are like that, and watching them on film, they are very similar players. It is funny trying to like decipher between the two of them. They are damn similar.
Yeah, and the thing is with Henderson, I guess he is 202 pounds, so you can make the case like, can you take the load? But I think recently with like Bucky Irving and those guys, we kind of see this different in today's NFL, where it doesn't, you don't have to be that 220-pound back anymore. But Henderson, like he just runs routes, he blocks. You know, there's like you could see everything from him on film, right? And I talk about Caleb Johnson, who I thought he looked good catching the football actually this week, which kind of answers some of those questions that I had about him. But like Henderson, it's all on film. Like it's you don't have to. I don't have to like think about it. I mean, I watched him run a choice route. He's just murdering linebackers out there. So I think Henderson and just him being who he is, I think some teams could take him a lot higher than people think. But I really do like Henderson. Henderson, I think Hampton probably solidified himself around that first round. I thought Damian Martinez ran a lot faster than I thought he was going to run. He does not look 4.5 on film. I don't know. Yeah. But he can run the ball, though. He's a great runner. I just didn't think he was that fast. But he had a good week, though, too.
The one thing I did want to say, though, with I forget his first name. Is it Jadon Blue from Texas?
Yeah.
So he ran a 4.38, 4.39, or whatever it was. Great time. Don't tell me you're going to run a 4.1 and then you hit Bond. No, they both did it.
Oh, they
both said that. Yeah, they both said they were going to run 4. They were going to run 4.1. They're going to break the record. And then I'm like, dude, you're just setting yourself up for failure. I'm like, because then he runs a 4.4. And I'm like, I'm disappointed. I'm like, tell me you're going to run like a 4.5. And then it's like, ooh, you run 4.39. Like, ooh, that's a really good time. Like, but yeah, when you tell me at the podium you're going to run a 4.1 and then you come out and run a 4.4, I'm pissed.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I do feel you on that. But yeah, I really do. I like Blue though too. So there's a lot of good running backs out there. Like somebody talked about RJ Harvey. Yeah, I like his film too. I think he's a really good player because I mean you see everything from him on film too. He's just a little on the shorter end, but he has some really great film too. I mean wide receiver, like it's hard for me to get into because I don't know where would the Raiders take one. You know what I mean? Like unless like Marcus Golden ain't coming. He ran a 4.29. You know what I mean? And I mean you can get these other guys that are out here, but go ahead.
The one guy I'd look at 37 potentially. Again, we've thrown out a lot of names at 37. I'm gonna butcher the name. Is it Eluk anymore? The guy from Stanford. Good contested catch guy. Go back and watch his game against Colorado 2 years ago. I think he caught the game-winning touchdown over Travis Hunter. Oh, yeah, good contested catch guy, and he ran like a good time. It was sub 4.5. I know that for sure. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, but he had a really good 40. I think it was like mid 4.5s. I'm like, for a guy that's a contested catch dude and a big body, that's a great time.
Yeah. It was a 4.44 as he ran.
4.44, yeah. Good time. It's a good time.
All right, let's get to some of these questions, man. Some of them already answered. With how aggressive the Raiders have been about quarterbacks, do you think they trade for one since Titans seem to be shopping, which I think is crazy? Just take Cam Ward, man.
I think the Titans want Abdul Carter, honestly, and I think that they think if I can get inside the Titans' mind right here, I think they give they think they want to give Will Levis one more year. Even though it's kind of weird because they weren't it isn't the regime that drafted him, but I think they like Abdul Carter, and their thinking is if they can, move back to a 3 or something like that, or no drop too far. I wouldn't be surprised if they give it up to go try and get Abdul Carter on the edge. Because I mean, put it this way, it can't be too much of a coincidence that last week they let it leak that they're giving Harold Landry a chance to seek a trade.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Y'all think anyone is willing to move up for a trade down scenario? Maybe. Depends on for who, though.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see. I think it'd probably be a draft day trade because teams are going to want to see who falls on the board.
Yeah. What's our prediction for the 6th pick? I'm still going Shadeur Sanders.
You think so? I'll say I think that's definitely going to be. If I had to put my money on it, I'd probably put it on Shadeur right now. But I think if he's not there, I get the feeling it's going to be Will Campbell. I think they're going to want to beef up the trenches and find a long-term solution for Miller.
Yeah,
wouldn't surprise me.
Wouldn't surprise me either. Where do you guys land on coming out? We kind of talked about that already. Is arrogance. Teleby Barron, he could be. He could be. Like I said, he's all over the field. So it's like I don't know, man. He's so versatile that I could see why somebody would like him, but I still think 6 is a little rich.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, okay, yeah, he's a good player. Like, I don't know. You know, it's one of those things. That's how I look at it. Graham only did 22 reps. We'll
Again, watch the breakdown. I don't think you'll have an issue with him winning with power and strength. Short arms, though, in 22 reps, so I can see your point.
Did Milroe look better or worse than Howard? I would say Howard looked better than he did, but
Milroe, of the quarterbacks we care about, just to be blunt, was the worst in my opinion.
Yeah. You think Milroe would be a good backup for Justin Fields? I mean, yeah. I mean,
no Justin Fields.
You're not just.
By the way, Graham had 24. Give my boy his 2 reps.
Gray Zabel ideas on other inside. I just don't know where they draft these guys. That's what bothers me. Just like go get Alex Kappa or something, man. I see Alex Kappa got released. Go get him, man. Because I just feel like,
yeah, Zabel might be a first round guy too. He's been steadily rising since the Senior Bowl and had a good combine.
So if Darnold, who they might target, Mason Graham might fall to them. So yeah, all those guys are option. Like Graham, all those guys are an option out there. What do you guys think of Memphis QB Sean Hennigan late in the draft or rookie free agent? I mean, maybe as a free agent. I mean, at the Senior Bowl, he wasn't that. He didn't stand out to me at all at the Senior Bowl.
He's not that good.
Yeah.
He also looks more like an accountant than an NFL player. That's my takeaway. That's my Seth Hennigan breakdown.
Okay. All right. Cool. That sounds good. All right. Don't anybody ask this? Is Shamar Stewart? I think this is a lock for top 10. What about Abdul Carter now?
Abdul Carter. The fact that he doesn't need surgery, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Especially if he goes out in his pro day and runs a 4.3, like a lot of people are projecting him to do. I was worried about it when they originally announced it, but then like a doctor said surgery is not advisable. I guess I don't know if I just made up a word there, but I'm not as worried about it. The fact it doesn't need surgery, but would obviously like to not have him as a fractured foot. Shamar, I don't know if I'll go out and say top 10 lock, but top 15 for sure. He's not. He's going to go very high.
Yeah.
Him and his 4.5 sacks in college. I just can't get over that. But I tell you what, give the guy credit. He looked good at the Senior Bowl and looked good at the Combine too.
Yeah, for sure. Is Mr. Graham and Will Johnson dropping? I don't think so. I mean, Will Johnson maybe. So I did think he was. I thought he was a bigger player, like just stature wise, and he didn't run. So he still got to do his pro day and his 40 time. So I think that would be a big factor with that.
Yeah.
Would you recommend for a third round pick on defense? I think so. I mean, they got 2 of them. So
was it what would you or who would you?
Who would you recommend? I guess for a third round.
I mean, if he slides, Alfred Collins would be I'll sprint to the podium in Green Bay for the Raiders if he ends up being there. Again, that's my guy. The other guy that same position, similar type that you like, Jordan Phillips out of Maryland. Really good nose tackle, and I won't say he's as good because I don't think he makes as many plays off double teams as Collins does, but is up there with Collins, one of the better guys at taking on double teams this year. Former high school weightlifter and wrestler to paint the picture for you. But one of Bruce Feldman's freaks, squats 655, something crazy, and over the head presses 350 for like 2 reps.
Yeah.
So
I would go like Azrae Thomas. I think when we talk about that,
he's not
the size. Yeah, you think he's not gonna be there, Azrae Thomas?
He might be a first round guy.
Is he? Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah,
never mind.
But I hate to be that guy, but I'd be surprised if he's in the third. I said Alfred Collins, who's probably gonna be a second round pick, but yeah.
Now Azrae Thomas has some good film. He could like some press coverage. Yeah, he can get the job done. I'll say that. Is Matthew Golden rising in the draft? Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
He doesn't look that fast on film. I'm not gonna lie to myself, but
yeah, that was a surprising time.
Very. Will Johnson worthy of the 6th pick? I would say yeah. It's kind of hard. I mean, because I talk about Travis Hunter a little bit. I think Travis Hunter is kind of. I think those guys are like, I think Travis Hunter is not as fundamentally sound as those guys since he's been playing both positions. But you still would think Travis Hunter, if Hunter was there at 6, even though I don't think he will be, but if he was there, I'd rather you take him over like these other corners because just the upside of Hunter is so high. You know what I mean? Even though I don't know if the Raiders would like Hunter. I'll just say I don't know. I don't know if they'd be a fan, especially if they watch the Kansas game where he's like jogging. And I was like, oh, that's why you play both sides. I see it. I get how you
conserve energy.
Yeah, you conserve the energy. I see how you do it now. We got a show on Campbell. Calvin, just go through 2 episodes down.
Come on, Calvin.
you check out the Campbell tape. We broke him down. It is his look. Thoughts on the Michael Mayer trade block?
Disappointed. I'll say that. I hope they keep him just because I'm like, what are they going to get for him? Like, what are you going to get for a guy that so far underperformed in his career? Like, I like the potential and what their offense could look like with Michael Mayer more than what I think they will be able to get for him in a trade, which is probably going to be like a 5th round pick. I mean, I don't know what I guess it depends on what they would be able to get, and that's what they're weighing as well. But I like the idea of having Mayer and Bowers for at least one more year before they just give up on him. And Chip Kelly, if you go back and look at his history, like he did this he worked the 2 tight ends well with Brent Selleck and Zach Ertz back in the day with the Eagles, where they were really productive. And even at the Niners, obviously that offense wasn't nearly as good as what it was, but he was able to get 2 tight ends to be productive. So I would rather see them keep Michael Mayer than get rid of him for a late day 3 pick.
Yeah, I agree. If Ward, Shadeur, Hunter, Graham, and Carter are off the board, who's your choice of 6?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow.
I'm just trying
to think. I mean,
Okay.
This is a good question. I guess like one of the tackles. And I guess that's when you would go like Barron, or like you might even get crazy and go Jalen Walker. You might get crazy there. Just because of the buzz there. I'm trying to think who else would.
For me, it's Will Johnson.
Will Johnson.
I just love his game. I love the fact that he can cover and play man, and he can take it back to the house, and make plays on the ball. But for me, it'd probably be Will Johnson.
See, I thought you had Johnson in there. That's my fault.
Oh, you're good.
That's
what I was counting. I'm like, did he take 6 players away from us? Can I poke a hole at this question because I don't like it?
Oh man, I was like, man, with the Cowboys trade up for Genty, I mean, they might, but why do people think the Raiders are taking Genty? I see that a lot. Is that a buzz at the combine? The Raiders taking Genty? Did you hear that?
Not like they're super interested in him, but in the sense of like a lot of people think it makes sense because he was a prolific college player and they could use a running back. But I don't get it because not that I hate Genty as a prospect. I just feel like if you're a team like the Raiders, drafting Genty would kind of be like the Giants drafting Saquon Barkley. He's a good player, but you have so many other spots that like you need to address that it doesn't really make sense, especially in a deep running back class.
Because in my opinion, like I don't think he's a better prospect than like Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm gonna keep it real. Like, I don't think he's a better prospect than Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, so if I had to pick between him and Jahmyr Gibbs in a draft, I'm taking Gibbs. So that's kind of how I feel about Genty. So that's why I think him in the top 10 is a little rich for me. In my opinion, I think it's just more of the season he had. I'm not saying he's not a first round running back. I think he's more of like a top 20 running back. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what I think. You know what I mean? Like, because I mean, even Bijan, like you compare him to Bijan, like,
yeah, no. Bijan was fucking legit.
It was ridiculous on film. You know what I mean? Like, and he did everything, right? Man. Yeah, but I do like Genty on film, but it's just some things like I don't know if he's like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's my thing. Why do people like Ted so much? I don't see it.
Big dude who can win at the catch point and make plays after the catch. I kind of agree with you. I think he's a good player. I think he is a decent. I think he's a good wide receiver and a first round wide receiver, but the top 10 hype he doesn't do it for me. I think he benefits from being in a weaker class. And I feel like if you follow guys like DJ a little bit, like DJ had him at, I think like 19 in the draft or something like that. I think maybe 19 to the Bucks, if I remember that correctly. But either way, it was later in the teens versus some other people keep having him in the top 10. I think that speaks to what the NFL sees him. I wouldn't be surprised if he apparently wants to go by T-Mac. That's his preferred name. I think with him, I think he ends up being one of those guys that were like, wow, how'd that guy fall? And it's because the league doesn't view him as much because he's not that great of a separator.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get these last couple of questions. Will Dart crack the top 10? That'd be crazy. But I'm not. The NFL is mystery box heavy with quarterbacks right now, so I'm not gonna say it's not gonna happen. I just think that would just. I mean,
the one thing I didn't realize about Dart until he didn't have the helmet on and was throwing. He does. I'm not saying play style. He does look a lot like John Elway. Like someone pointed out, I'm like, holy crap! I see it just in the face. I'm like, he does look like John Elway.
Who's the priority free agent is easily replaced in the draft? Spill, Hobbs, or Morek? Probably Spill.
I was gonna say Merrick. For me, it's Merrick. I just love the guy's game. He's young. He can play. He proved last year he can play in the box, play deep, can blitz. I really want. I know it's gonna cost a lot, but I really want to see Merrick back.
Yeah. But he was saying easier to replace.
Oh, easier to replace. My fault. I missed that.
So I would go Spillane. I think so.
Yeah. I almost want to lean Hobbs.
Yeah.
I feel like you can find nickel corners.
Will Johnson. Will Johnson's like Nate Hobbs.
Jade Barron.
Yeah. They're Nate Hobbs on God.
I feel like I don't know. Positionally, I feel like you can find a nickel corner fairly easily, but it's probably him or Spillane. I think that's the hardest one.
All right, last who is y'all prediction for 2025 Raiders QB room? Oh, that's a good one.
Whew. Well, Desmond Ritter's not in it.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Aiden O'Connell. I'm gonna go. You're not gonna like this one, Matt, but I'm gonna go Justin Fields. And I'm gonna go Jackson Dart, even though I'm not. I'm just. Those are my guesses. That's just if I had to guess right now.
If I had to guess, mine would be Carter Bradley, Aiden O'Connell, and Sam Darnold.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be. I'm not saying that's what I want. I just have this growing suspicion that they're gonna give Sam Darnold a good contract because they don't like the quarterbacks as much as we've talked about, and they're not gonna want to. Just take a flyer on when they're going to want to try and build a team. Give Sam Darnold a contract that functions like a 2-year deal with the guaranteed money and take it from there. I can see it right now.
Yeah. Do you think Jancy's falling because of his small arms? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to judge him by that. I think the NFL just really likes him. NFL with running backs, which I always hated, they get really into the hype of the best running back in college football, guys, and that's what they always miss. And then we always have those guys like you can draft a running back anywhere. It's really not like that. It's just the NFL gets really hyped. All right, last question here: who is surprised pick at 6? I'm gonna go. I'm not used to do the tackle from Missouri.
Mimbu.
Yeah, Mimbu. I'm gonna go ahead.
Mimbu. I can see that one. The other one that I think you touched on earlier, I could see Jalen Walker.
Yeah, Jalen Walker. That'd be a surprise.
I could see him being a surprise at 6.
All right. Zach Wilson, AOC, and McCord. I mean, you just Kenny, Kenny, you're a big fan of TDL. I don't know why you want to do that to me. Bro. I don't mind Kyle McCord, but come on, bro. Come on, Kenny.
I will say this: Kyle McCord performed exactly how I thought it was. Where every pass was on target, but damn it, there was no zip on those balls.
Oh, come on, Kitty, man. Why would you do that to me, man? You know I do offense, Kitty. You know I do offense, man. All right, guys. So we're out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Just going over Scott and Combine, talking everything. Because we'll be back with the film. We're going to go over free agency since free agency is next week. We're doing free agency this weekend. Kind of just do a showcase. We're just going to do I'm going to pick some guys on offense. Pick some guys on defense. I'm going to do clips of them. And kind of go over all free agency. And then we'll get back to the draft after that. And whoever they sign, of course, we'll do those. Yeah, the film's going to keep on coming. And like I said, we used to have a bunch of people ask questions like you guys just break down that guy. Go through the list, man. We've been doing these since January, just since the season ended.
Yeah,
breakdowns twice a week. They're lined up, guys. Go check them out. Go through all those episodes. Like I said, they will last until August. So check those out, guys. But we're out of here. Like I said, we always appreciate you guys coming in here. We got about 530 in here total today. So I appreciate you guys doing that. And we're out here. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. We're out. Peace.